And we're coming on from going live here. This is the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I'm Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach. Hope you're doing well today. And what a beautiful day. I got a good video up there on TikTok of the morning sky. It was beautiful. It's different every day when you go see it. Pre-dawn. Anyway, so what are we going to talk about today? Today I want to talk about sprint planning part 3, the how a lot of teams are missing the how when they come out of sprint planning, and I want to talk about that a little bit and give some clarity on how I've seen and experienced in some of the teams I've done in the past, and just some thoughts related to that part and how it interplays with the Agile Manifesto. So I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach. Here on the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show, we talk about Scrum in a practical and tactical way so that you can deliver value to your customer without working crazy hours, get home to family and friends, and enjoy life and have some fun at work too. We do that too. So what about the sprint planning that I look at, right? So in sprint planning, they talk about there's 3 parts that they talk topics that they bring up during sprint planning. I want to talk about the third topic, which is the how. I actually call the how part B in sprint planning. Part A is where everyone agrees to what work you want to do during the sprint. That really, in essence, if done right, should take 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes if there's some last minute changes from the previous sprint, maybe something from retro or sprint review that goes into the sprint. So then you get a little more. But the how, this is what teams don't work on enough. They go, okay, we got a list, see you, bye, I'm out of here, right? But really, when you look at the sprint guide, the Scrum guide, there is a whole section time. They give you 8 hours for a 1 month sprint, right? And you break it down. So if you do 2 week sprint, you got 4 hours. So in essence, let's say we have a 2 week sprint and you have 4 hours to do your sprint planning. And this is what you're supposed to, gives you that time, that buffer zone. And I'm saying that you get a half hour, you can a half hour do part A of sprint planning. What do you do for the other 3.5 hours? Well, this is where the how comes into play, and how interactions and what individuals do also come to play from the Agile Manifesto. This is where that part comes into play. Teams, people, developers, teammates should be looking at the stories. They said, this is what the business wants to do. So let's start thinking about how we might come up with the solutions to these problems. Some teams will assign individual stories to individual people, and they'll go off and figure things out. Some teams will work together as a whole on the stories and come up with solutions. Either way, it results in an interaction. Now, when we go assign people, I want to give you one piece of advice on that. Make sure somehow, whether it be in some kind of chat, preferably in-person video conference or in person, talk about the proposed solutions, what they want to do. And it's going to involve a computer screen. I'm sorry, but if you're going to figure out this is how I want to frame it up, here's what I'm going to use. Most developers will share something from what they did in the past. I'm going to take this code and this code, I'm going to put together and make this code. This is where the team comes back and interacts, because then you get all the other teammates giving you feedback on your proposed solution, maybe providing you some additional thought, because they're reading off of what that person who's taking the lead job on that story, and that is triggering brain cells, gray matter, to spark off and say, oh, have you thought about this? Because sometimes it takes that initial catalyst to get everyone else in the group working. So that would be part B. This is the how that we need to come up with. And a lot of teams don't do this. They just go, here's our list, here we're going to do it. Now, I'll give you one thing, a warning, why they say there's 2 parts, right? Because I mean, in an XP world, everyone would be there. Gotcha. And most of the worlds that are out there now, the product owner doesn't really know or need to know how you're going to come up with a solution. It's actually, to be honest with you, sometimes I think it's better that they don't know the how, because then they start getting into the weeds. But we need them out there with the business client, getting stuff, getting feedback, and bringing that back to the team. That's their job. It's a job to go get feedback. It's a tough job. And most developers don't want to do it, right? So after we're done that part A, the product owner can go off and do whatever they want to do. Part B is where the technical stuff. So what you don't want to make sure you're not doing is this part B, the how, with the product owner, because I'll be honest, they'll get bored to death and they'll understand what you're saying. You get geeky, and they don't want to be geeky, right? Maybe they don't like the geek. That doesn't get them their juices going. So the team itself does the how without the product owner. Don't need they can be there if they want, but they really don't need to be there. Just to be available if there's any questions. Like sometimes teams might ask for a Three Amigo activity where they get the product owner testing and developing together, and they ask some questions to clarify a story if they need it. So the product owner is available during. They know you're doing it, and if they see you on Messenger and say, "Hey, can you meet with us? We want to talk about story XYZ." They can come down and give you some clarity. But they just keep it open, but they don't need to be there. They can do other stuff and prep for their next refinement session or something like that. So now that part B, the how, like I said, is key, because if you don't look at the how, you can't really get back to the product owner and the team whether or not you think you can actually do this work, right? I mean, maybe it's like, oh, we didn't really realize how big it was. We're not going to be able to do this last one. Before you go telling everyone in the world, well, these couple of things might fall off the list or be at risk of having done, because we realize it's a lot more work than we thought. But that second part also allows you to subtask your work. So everyone on the team knows the way you're going to come up with solutions. So if you're out that day, or you're sick, or you're going on vacation, or something happens, kids get sick, it happens all the time. I mean, it's just part of life. Everyone kind of knows where you've been, where you're heading, and what you're doing, and they're not trying to create everything from scratch. So this first session is ability to let everyone know the thoughts to solve the problem. So it keeps them from getting put back behind schedule or behind their mental what they want to do, because they kind of know what's going on. Also, it allows you to put subtasks. I know some people don't like subtasks. If you get everything done in a day, you don't need subtasks. But if you do things that you think is going to take a couple days to do it, then you really should subtask. Anything takes more than a day to get done, you should subtask. Personal opinion. People say, "Well, subtask, I don't need that." Well, okay. But your team deserves the respect to be allowed to know if something does happen and they have to pick up the job, because it's we as a team. We say we want to do this. They know where you were at and what you were doing. So that would be something that they need to be able to see. That's pretty much what I got. I just wanted to share that with you. I wanted to share how, and one last piece of emphasis. There is interaction in sprint planning. There's interaction with customer in part A. Part B is the interaction in the team as a team. And it's critical. Without that interaction, your quality, you can't build as good a quality, you can't come up with these new ideas, you can't accelerate the design process because you're depending on one person doing the work. So that interaction product helps magnify the results from your sprint. So I just want to share that with you. I want to go through, I do different things. I'll hit some more sprint guide stuff and how the Agile Manifesto and the sprint guide connect with each other and how they apply for all the things in the sprint guide. So I kind of disagree with some people who say Scrum is not Agile. I said it's how you use the Agile framework or the Scrum framework and Agile Manifesto together to come up with a better solution. Anyway, I want to wish you all a great day. Happy Scrumming. Hope you enjoy your day. Have some fun. And we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, tonight. Tonight at 8 o'clock, by the way. We're doing our show. So that's coming up. And I got some news items for that. That's coming up this fall that I'll be hosting. So that'd be cool. And again, see you tonight at 8. And I wish you all the best. Take care.